We are very similar as people. Greeks and Spaniards have a lot to share. We are both Mediterranean. We have the same problems of climate change. We have the same problems of migration. We are external borders. We have very similar issues regarding water scarcity. We have to fight many of the consequences of that scarcity every day. We see it here and we see it in Spain. We are touristic powers worldwide. We have an important diaspora all over the world. So let's get our heads together and think what we could do better together. And at the same time, that needs a reinforcement of the bonds at a political level. I'm very happy that the mechanism for political consultations that was agreed in 2021 between the two ministries of foreign affairs has finally got started. We had the visit of our Minister of Foreign Affairs here in June, and I hope very soon we will be having the corresponding visit of Minister Gerapetritis in Spain. And having those consultations also at the level of the prime ministers. That is an important thing, especially when we see some important milestones ahead as your presidency of the EU in 2027, with your presence in the UN Security Council. One other thing I'm trying to do is to those political links to have our parliaments also get together. We have just had the first Hellenic Spanish parliamentary forum in Athens with the Speaker of the Spanish House and a delegation of 10 parliamentarians, which have been debating many of these common challenges we have. My final objective would be to transform that commonality into projects, ideas, deliverables. That would be my main goal. The trade balance, as you have said, between Spain and Greece is on a positive trend now for several years. It continues to grow even in 2024. We have to continue to push this. We have more than 3,700 Spanish companies exporting to Greece. But we had in 2022 a first business forum here in Athens. And the event we organized in May in Madrid was to a certain extent a devolution of the initial visit of Spanish companies here. The mission of Greek companies that went to Madrid was a multi-sectoral group from the agricultural domain industry. There were also services. We have a lot of sectors where we could both mutually profit with the experience and know-how in the other country. Space, defense, energy, house design, and in general, of course, the food sector. The next step should be to try and focus on these sectors, and that is what we are trying to do from the embassy. The foreign direct investment in both senses is quite low. We have a stock of foreign direct investment, of Greek foreign direct investment in Spain, which is below 300 million. And there is around 1.5 billion of Spanish foreign direct investment in Greece. I think it's very important that precisely in those sectors where we have leaders worldwide, they get Greece back on the list of strategic countries for them in the world. That will depend on many things. Of course, it will depend on the situation worldwide of the economy, but it will also depend on how business-friendly Greece is to foreign companies, and the assurance of competitiveness, and the opening of open calls to all countries. Both our countries have a special knowledge on other areas of the world. Greece has a pile of knowledge about the Balkans and all Southeast Europe, Middle East. Spain has more knowledge of Northern Africa and Latin America. And what I would like to see is more and more joint ventures of Greek and Spanish companies in these areas. We should not forget that both our countries, for example, are the two most important importers of US natural gas for Europe. 33% of the US natural gas that arrives in Europe enters through Spain. 10% enters through Greece so far. Greece is now building up its potential. So let's do it. Tourism, it's a necessary pillar of our economies. Spain and Greece, even with a smaller population, you had nearly 50 million tourists last year. We will have nearly 100 million this year in Spain. Last year, we got 360,000 Spaniards visiting Greece, and around 170 Greek tourists going to Spain. The Greek tourism that is going to Spain is a high quality tourism, which is good, which is what we should be aiming at from all sides. The number of flights in both directions we have now has grown exponentially. Now during the high season, we have up to 52 weekly flights in both directions. We have to ensure that this important industry for our economies continues to grow, but in a sustainable manner, without creating problems in housing, in the use of water, in the use of our cultural heritage in our cities. And there we are looking at the ways in which we could contribute the experience, successful experience in some of our regions, of how to not only get a tourism which is interested in sea, sun and beach, and get them into a more cultural dimension. We are also looking at smart cities as something that we could both work together on, because of our configuration and our way of living, that makes that an experience coming from a country more to the north might not serve the purpose in a Mediterranean context. So here we will continue to work with the Greek authorities to identify those examples that can help us make tourism sustainable. I come from a part of Spain which has deep Greek roots. The region of Andalusia, which encompasses all these provinces, has as a symbol in its coat of arms the figure of Hercules, with the two columns which represent the Strait of Gibraltar, which comes from a Greek myth. We have indeed a lot to build on. Our roots are common, My first point is language. We both support our languages. Spain was the promoter of the initiative in UNESCO to declare Greek, the Greek Day, which happens once a year. Now it's celebrated. But the knowledge of Spanish is an indispensable tool for the future generations of Greeks, a country which a very large diaspora, including in the United States, with a presence with its maritime power all over the world, where Spanish is spoken by more than 600 million people. There was a pilot program in the public system in Greece to have Spanish as an option up to 2012. I would like to see that opportunity given again to students in Greece, as was the case. It was a complete success, the 4 years that that pilot program was done. Of course, we have a lot of bonds going back many years, and we should continue to promote all exhibits that show how our history and our culture is tied as two Mediterranean countries. We have just inaugurated a few days ago an exhibit done in Madrid with Spanish eyes about the work of the architect Piccionis, Dimitris Piccionis, which has been a big success in Spain, and we have now brought it here with the Binaki Museum. That will be one of my objectives during my period, to try and discover domains where there is an interest on the Greek side, of course. Movies, music. Music is one of the reasons why so many Greeks want to learn Spanish, apart from football, of course. Let's learn from each other in areas in which we excel as the top of the art in one domain. As for the Spanish diaspora in Greece, it is small. It's somewhat more than 2,100. There are two associations in Thessalonica and Athens, which have their own activity. They organize gastronomic and cultural events where we try and support them. And we also support them with an annual plan in which we offer to many of the Spaniards which have been living here for a long time a way not to lose their roots to our country. Spaniards and Greeks are indeed very similar. Their character is very similar. We are emotionally very similar. We are family lovers. We are countries in Europe which like children and like old people, which is not a given, because I've lived in many countries in Europe and seen it. I think that is something to build on. Now, in Greece, I find that there are many aspects of the traditional values that you still maintain, which in Spain I think we have lost to a certain extent. I haven't been able to travel as much as I'd like in Greece, and of course there is always the temptation of my colleagues back in Madrid that if I travel a lot, you're on holidays in the sun. But if I would have to choose, and I have many islands to go to still, the Peloponnesus for me is the most varied part of the country, with a beautiful landscape, the countryside, the mountains, the coast. So probably it will be somewhere there.